Halloween is directed by John Carpenter and stars Donald Pleasence, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Nick Castle. The film tells a story about a man named Michael Myers who, as a kid, killed his sister on Halloween night, and 15 years later goes back to his hometown of Haddonfield to finish what he started. The film came out in 1978 and received a few mixed reviews from critics. Not a lot of people were stoked about it, but Roger Ebert gave a really good review, and since then it received a cult following, received a lot more positive feedback, and now to this day it is considered one of the greatest horror films of all time. And every year around Halloween, the movie plays in theaters on a daily, at least around its time of release, and has spawned sequels and video games and comics and books. Like, this franchise boomed into success, and to this day is still going on. But how does this film hold up all these years later? Is it still scary? Are the characters still engaging? Is the horror still effective? In short, yes, the film still holds up tremendously well, and I still believe that it is one of the best horror films to have ever come out. The film focuses a lot on tension and suspense, rather than showing a lot of gore or violence. The horror is effective in that way, well, mostly due to the budget being low, but also being able to showcase Michael stalking his victims, seeing how he operates within this area, within a neighborhood, how he plans out his kills, what he wants. But what I found most interesting about this film, it is still a beautifully directed film. The shots by director of photography Dean Cundey are striking, giving a lot of cinematic flair to a lot of the kills and establishing shots of the movie. The film still feels cinematic. You still feel like you're watching an actual movie and not just something that will pop up randomly on TV. The film is presented beautifully despite a low budget. The acting is also really good too. Donald Pleasence as Samuel Loomis, who is the doctor of Michael Myers who's trying to capture him and kill him. He is fantastic and is my favorite character in the entire film. His famous speech about evil and how Michael Myers is a personification of that evil he's talking about is bone-chilling. Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is also really good. She's able to bring a lot of warmth and character, and she's able to fend for herself very well against Michael Myers. And despite her being the most naive and most good-hearted of the friend group that she's in, she's still able to hold her own very well because she is that mother figure that's willing to do whatever it takes to protect the kids she's babysitting. The film goes to great lengths to show her relationship and how she interacts with the kids that she's trying to take care of, like Tommy Doyle or Lindsay Wallace. Their interactions with one another are what makes the movie for me, in my opinion. Seeing these characters who are very innocent and good-hearted forced into a situation that's out of their control and is horrifying. Because the film spends a lot of time on these characters, developing them, having us learn about them and what they want and how they think, it makes these characters feel like actual people that you really want to root for. And by the end of the film, once shit starts getting real and Michael Myers has his eyes set on these characters, you want them to get out of the situation alive. Whereas with Laurie's friends, you expect them to get killed. And this started a whole trend of movies that uses a lot of teenagers as cannon fodder for the killer. The only difference here is that this movie doesn't glorify their kills. It doesn't spill out their guts. It doesn't show a lot of blood. And that is mostly due to the budget not being able to supply them with enough blood for a lot of these kills. But it also was a benefit, in my opinion, as it was able to give a lot of focus to the tension and suspense of the movie. I found this movie to be extremely successful in suspense and horror, but this gives the director a lot of leeway creatively to do a lot of creative suspense sequences where Michael's just stalking his victims. We see how he operates, how he walks, how he's almost a mythical figure within a town that's more close to reality, and he is the one thing in this town that is just unnatural. The way he walks, and the way he tilts his head, the way he kills his victims. It is almost inhuman. He feels like a force of nature, an unpredictable monster that you are desperately trying to get away from. And Nick Castle's performance as the Shape is tremendous. There's other actors that did portray him in the film, but it's mainly Nick Castle that portrays him, and he does a really good job at portraying Michael Myers as this almost mythical figure that is essentially the personification of evil. He is one of the greatest horror villains in my opinion, mostly due to the way he acts and how he operates, and is extremely scary, but also has enough personality in him to where at times he can be entertaining. Like when he puts on a ghost costume to try and fool a naked teenager that he is her boyfriend, but he's really trying to kill her. It's almost a bit comical, but it gives Michael a bit of personality apart from him being just an emotionless killer, and makes him a bit more down to earth in that regard. But mostly the film portrays him as this unpredictable force of nature that Donald Pleasence's Samuel Loomis describes him as. The music is also incredible. If I'd gone on this review without talking about the music, I would almost be committing a sin. John Carpenter's themes of Haddonfield, of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode are just simply iconic, and gives almost a peaceful choir to Haddonfield as a town. And when shit gets real by the end of the film, the score changes to a more sinister tone and gives a lot of emphasis to Michael Myers' presence, and is just all around terrifying to listen to. All in all, I have to say that Halloween still holds up very well. The acting is really great. Donald Pleasence and Jamie Lee Curtis give really great performances here. The horror intention is really good. The directing and cinematography are beautifully done. The only problems I can think of is that there are some moments of overacting from some of the supporting characters, and you could definitely tell that the budget is limiting the movie at times. But for the most part, this movie does what most horror movies fail to do at its time, and that is be scary and well directed and actually tell a compelling story with characters that you care about and you want to see get out of the situation alive, and makes the monster, or in this case the killer of the movie, actually feel like a monster that needs to be stopped but can't be. Have him feel like an unpredictable force of nature. There are a lot of themes about evil and how you can't really stop it, and how that evil is always going to have some sort of influence on a person. And I think it was able to portray that in a very subtle way that doesn't overstate itself, that doesn't feel too preachy or that is on the nose. You understand the message because you're watching these characters go through all these situations that challenges their worldview. There are a lot of things in this film about how evil can consume someone, how that can infect someone mentally, and how that evil will never die, no matter how hard you try. And what I love most about that theme is how it's presented in the film. And that is that it is subtle. It doesn't overstay itself. It doesn't preach to the audience. It just has its characters experience these themes firsthand by seeing Michael Myers and how he operates, seeing how he attacks his victims, how he torments them in many ways mentally and physically, how it's emphasized by Dr. Samuel Loomis as he's trying to convince these officers that Michael is out there trying to kill as many people as he can, that he needs to be stopped. The film is scary. There are very little jump scares. The film mostly focuses on tension and suspense. The characters are engaging and fun to watch. The cinematography and directing is perfect to a T. All in all, this movie is still incredible to this day, and I'm going to give Halloween an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.